The Princess in the Mirror. Chapter 1. Once upon a time, deep in a cozy cabin nestled in the lush green woods, there lived a young man named Jason. Jason was 16 years old, his kind brown eyes often lit up with curiosity and adventure as he explored the forest. Jason's father, Alexander, had long, wavy black hair and a thick beard. Alexander spent his days teaching Jason how to hunt, fish, build fires, and read books from their home library. Jason was super smart and always thinking. He liked living away from the busy towns because life was simple and nice. Every morning, when the sun peeked through the trees, Jason would jump out of bed eager to learn something new from his dad. In the afternoons, they would go hunting together, but they only caught what they needed to eat. Jason felt proud because he was learning how to take care of himself. Sometimes Jason and his father traveled to the market in town to trade animal furs for goods. Jason noticed boys his age working long hours for little pay at the market. They often looked tired, ragged, and hungry. Jason realized how fortunate he was to have a caring father and a warm home. He made a habit of helping anyone in need, especially elderly folks struggling to carry heavy loads. At night, when Jason closed his eyes, visions of a young girl often appeared asking him to help set her free. Trapped behind a stone wall, the girl said she was a prisoner in need of rescue. Her desperate cries echoed in Jason's mind when he awoke each morning. Who was she? Could she be real or just a dream? The mystery puzzled Jason endlessly. Chapter 2. The girl who haunted Jason's dreams was Princess Sarina, held captive in a tower of her father's palace. Sarina had flowing golden hair that fell gently across her shoulders and striking sapphire eyes that glistened like stars. Her days were once filled with laughter and joy. Sarina's mother, the queen, had fallen ill and passed away when Sarina was just 10 years old. Distraught by his wife's untimely death, Sarina's father, King Jacob, remarried a vain and selfish woman named Evelyn. On the surface, Evelyn appeared caring and gracious when guests were nearby. But whenever she was alone with Sarina, her cruel spirit emerged. "You are a worthless, pathetic child," Evelyn would hiss at Sarina. "You don't deserve to be a princess. No one wants you here." Sarina withstood the harsh words, hoping her father would see Evelyn's true nature. But the king was away for long stretches, consumed by his royal duties. Sarina felt helpless and alone. One morning Evelyn approached Sarina with a devious grin. "Come along, dear, I have something special to show you." Suspicious but obedient, Sarina followed Evelyn to an isolated tower. With a hard shove, Evelyn pushed Sarina inside a small chamber and locked the door behind her. Sarina was trapped. Evelyn laughed wickedly. "Now no one will find you here. I'll finally be rid of you, you horrid little brat." Sarina collapsed to the floor in tears. She peered out the small window at the ground far below. Escape was impossible. Feeling hopeless, she realized Evelyn could convince the kingdom she was dead or gone. Sarina feared her father would never learn what happened. She may be trapped in the tower forever. The only person she would see now is Dorothy, an old lady who is bringing her food and helps her to tidy her room. Dorothy is mute, so in the beginning Sarina couldn't have a conversation with her. Until one day, while Sarina was busy writing in her diary, she realized that Dorothy was paying interest in her writing. She asked Dorothy if she could read and write, and to her astonishment, she nodded her head. Sabrina was so happy because she now had a way to communicate with Dorothy. Sarina wrote a letter to ask for help, but unfortunately evil Evelyn searched through Dorothy's pockets as she came out of Sarina's quarters and found the letter. She was so mad that she left Sarina without food and water for 3 days. Sarina felt so discouraged as she had no idea how she could attract attention to her dire situation. Chapter 3. Back in the wooden cabin, Jason searched his father's library looking for new books. Hidden in a chest beneath some quilts, he discovered an old bronze key. It fit perfectly into the mysterious wooden box that had always been kept locked. Inside, Jason found an antique mirror with a glowing golden frame. As Jason gazed into the shimmering glass, he gasped in shock. Staring back at him was not his own reflection, but the face of the golden-haired girl from his recurrent dreams. The girl nodded, affirming she was real and that she was kept prisoned by her stepmother Evelyn. She explained her location in the hidden tower and urged that they must find a way to meet. Dorothy appeared in Sarina's room and was very surprised that the magic mirror had somebody on the other side. She gave this mirror to Princess Sarina. Sarina always wondered why she couldn't see her reflection. She was busy admiring the ornate frame as it was the only object of beauty to keep her mind occupied in her dire situation. Dorothy asked Jason if he knew Alexander and Jason confirmed that it was his father. She was utterly surprised to learn that he was still alive and just knew that now they could save Princess Sarina. Jason thought that Dorothy's kind, wrinkled face seemed familiar. Of course. Dorothy was the woman he had helped pick up a basket of spilled apples last time he was in town. They planned to meet the following day in the market. Grateful for his assistance, Dorothy embraced Jason warmly. Together they traveled to the palace gates. Dorothy showed Jason a hidden entrance used by servants. She signed to the other workers Jason was her visiting grandson. Once inside, Dorothy led Jason up a winding stone staircase to the secluded tower prison. A sturdy wooden door barred their way, but Dorothy directed Jason to a small window where he could climb inside. She will unlock it from the inside with a key she'd just obtained using her wits. Chapter 4. Jason and Sarina felt like they knew each other already, even though they had only just met in person. Looking into Sarina's bright blue eyes, Jason sensed a deep connection and familiarity. He told Sarina all about the vivid dreams he had been having where she called out to him trapped behind a stone wall. Sarina nodded, confirming that the dreams were a real connection established through the magic mirrors. Jason and Sarina discussed how remarkable it was that the antique mirrors allowed their minds to speak across such a vast distance. Sarina explained that Dorothy had given her the mirror to feel less lonely and isolated in her tower prison. Dorothy hoped that whoever possessed the mirror's twin might be able to help Sarina escape, even though she had no idea if such a person existed. Dorothy smiled as Jason and Sarina marveled at how the mirrors enabled them to find each other. She wrote a note explaining that she had taken the mirror with her when she fled the kingdom where she previously worked. Her intention was that if she ever crossed paths with the matching mirror again, it could provide her a way out of the cruel Evelyn service. Fate had connected the mirrors to bring together Jason and Sarina instead. Jason wondered how his ordinary father Alexander ended up with such a rare magical object. He knew his dad was not a king or prince. Alexander seemed to be a simple man living modestly in the woods. Jason made a mental note to ask his father later about the mirror's origins. With daylight fading, Jason, Sarina and Dorothy hurried to sneak out of the palace before the evil Evelyn realized Sarina was missing. Using hidden servant passages, Dorothy safely led Jason and the princess back outside the castle walls undetected. Under the cover of darkness, the group made their way into the woods toward Jason's cozy cabin home. Chapter 5. Stepping into the warm, cozy cabin after their rescue mission, Jason called out for his father Alexander. At the sound of Jason's voice, Alexander appeared from the back room and froze in disbelief as he saw who had entered with his son. "Dorothy? Can it really be you?" Dorothy's face lit up with a joyful smile as she rushed to embrace her dear old friend. Jason was puzzled by the obvious familiarity and affection between his father and Dorothy. He had so many unanswered questions swirling in his mind. Jason asked his father to please explain how he knew this mute woman from a faraway palace. Alexander sat down with Jason and revealed a story from long ago. He shared that he had not always lived a simple life in the woods. In his youth, Alexander was a prince who grew up in a grand palace as the younger brother of the king. However, King John's sons were cruelly jealous of him being the future king. They schemed night and day to have Alexander removed as heir to the throne. To escape from the wrath and treachery of his nephews, Alexander fled the kingdom in secret as a young man, bringing baby Jason along with him. His loyal servants packed the coach with his treasured belongings. Shortly after their escape, Alexander and Jason were in a terrible accident that caused him to lose his memories for many years. He was taken care of by a kind old man and his wife living in the forest. They also kept his personal belongings and books safe. Once Alexander finally regained his past identity, he decided to disappear forever, allowing his family to believe he had perished so they would not seek him out. Jason had so many more questions now swirling in his mind. Did he have aunts or uncles from his father's noble family? Cousins he never knew. Alexander nodded and confirmed an entire extended family who all assumed both he and Jason had died long ago. Growing out his hair and beard helped conceal Alexander's identifiable princely features and allowed him to live anonymously. He aimed to raise Jason humbly in the woods, not as an entitled royal prince. Alexander showed his gratitude to the old couple by providing them with wood during all these years. Chapter 6. Alexander turned to Dorothy, eager to fill in the missing pieces of the puzzle. What happened after I disappeared from the palace all those years ago? How did you end up under the thumb of the wicked Evelyn? Dorothy carefully wrote out notes explaining that after Alexander had fled the kingdom to protect baby Jason, she overheard Jason's nephews continuing to plot terrible harm against him. Fearing for Alexander's safety, Dorothy returned to his old bedchamber in search of any clue to where he may have gone. There she found the twin magic mirror forgotten under the bed. Dorothy kept the mirror hidden and close to her, hoping it might somehow reunite her with her kind master one day if he still lived. While she set out to find Alexander, Dorothy was captured by hostile thugs on the road and forcibly taken to Evelyn. Needing a compliant servant who could not speak, Evelyn took Dorothy in. For many silent years living under Evelyn's harsh rule, Dorothy continued guarding the mirror, waiting for any opportunity to escape and find the mirror's match. Evelyn remained oblivious to the mirror's power. Dorothy despaired, wondering if she would ever be freed from servitude. Dorothy observed Evelyn's heartlessness firsthand when Sarina's mother passed away, leaving the grieving princess isolated as her father tended to his royal responsibilities, and she was barred from seeing her mother's body. Dorothy wrote how Evelyn also orchestrated a funeral for Sarina in the king's absence. Upon his return, the king was astounded to discover that his daughter had already been laid to rest. Sarina went on to describe Evelyn faking her death and imprisoning her in the tower. Alexander's mind raced, wondering if Evelyn could also have lied about the death of Sarina's mother. The eerie similarities were too coincidental to ignore. Alexander knew they must tell Sarina's father the truth immediately. And they needed to discover whether Sarina's mother could possibly still be alive somewhere just as Sarina was. Alexander found out that King Jacob would be passing through the next afternoon after a long trip. Alexander and Jason planned to meet the king when he arrived and tell him the truth. The next day, King Jacob's fancy carriage rolled up to the palace gates. Waiting there were Alexander and Jason, with their faces hidden under hoods. When the king stepped out, Alexander pulled back his hood. "It's me, your old friend," he said. King Jacob couldn't believe his eyes when he heard Alexander's story of how he had escaped years ago. But there was an even bigger surprise waiting. Suddenly, Sarina, alive and well, appeared from behind Alexander and Jason. The king was overjoyed to see his daughter alive and promised to seek revenge for all the harm inflicted upon innocent people. With guards by his side, King Jacob stormed into the palace, determined to set everything back to normal. He arrested the heartless Evelyn and got back the keys to the castle. Locked away, Evelyn furiously stomped her feet and continued to shout, consumed by the realization that a seemingly insignificant, mute old woman had outwitted her. With meticulous care, they combed through every inch of the palace, diligently unlocking hidden chambers and exploring forgotten corners. In a secluded, long-forgotten section of the grand structure, they stumbled upon a miraculous discovery: Sarina's mother, frail yet clinging to life. Overwhelmed with joy and relief, they embraced tightly, tears streaming down their cheeks, their hearts swelling with happiness as they were at last reunited with their beloved matriarch. In that moment of emotional reunion, the weight of uncertainty lifted, replaced by a renewed sense of hope and gratitude for the unexpected blessing of her survival. In a triumph of light over darkness, the discovery of Sarina's mother alive amidst the shadows of the palace stood as a testament to the victory of good over evil. With Sarina's mother rescued and reunited with her family, the palace inhabitants found solace in the restoration of their joyful days. Everybody returned to their peaceful lives as they lived before Evelyn's appearance. Chapter 7. Although Jason had grown up in a modest cabin deep in the woods, he soon felt right at home in the ornate palace with Princess Sarina. Over the years, Jason and Sarina's childhood friendship blossomed into a profound love. Meanwhile, Jason's father Alexander returned to live in the kingdom he had once fled many years ago. Reunited with his niece the queen and his brother the king, Alexander was welcomed back to the palace with open arms and great joy. Alexander's nephews felt immense relief upon seeing him alive, haunted by the remorse of their actions, which had plunged them into endless nightmares. On Jason's 18th birthday, he proposed to Sarina, the princess who had haunted his childhood dreams. Surrounded by their loved ones, Jason and Sarina were married in the palace gardens under an arch of pink roses. Sarina wore her mother's shimmering gown. Even as royalty themselves, Jason and Sarina never forgot their humble roots. They remained humble, kind rulers who often slipped away from the palace to revisit the cozy forest cabin that first united them. The twin magic mirrors that had mysteriously connected the young Jason and Sarina now rested safely displayed together in a glass cabinet, their mystical purpose fulfilled. Jason reacted to their call and completed their destiny, reuniting two gentle soulmates who were always meant to find one another. And restoring harmony to both kingdoms, the triumph of good over evil was secured. And they all lived happily ever after.